Open any British newspaper today, and you will see the same alarming headline: the wealthy are packing their bags. We pay attention to these stories because the UK tax base is incredibly top-heavy. This pyramid chart shows exactly how dependent the system is on the highest earners, with the top 1% paying a massive 29% of all income tax. The centerpiece of this panic is a specific number that dominated the news cycle, a forecast claiming a net 16,500 millionaires would flee the UK in 2025. But look closely at where that terrifying statistic comes from. The data was produced by Henley & Partners, an advisory firm that makes its money selling international relocation services to the ultra-rich. Then there is the detail that rarely makes the front pages. In mid-2026, Henley quietly walked back those numbers. They dropped the underlying data entirely, severed ties with the sole analyst who wrote the report, and admitted that migration was, in fact, modest. Much of the defining economic narrative of a G7 nation is currently built on retracted data from a company with a commercial interest in the outcome. To understand what is happening to Britain's elite, we must look at the policies themselves. The current anxiety among the wealthy stems from a shift in government policy. Specifically, the new rules target inheritance, focusing on what happens when wealth is passed down rather than how much is earned annually. Recently, the government abolished the non-dom tax regime. For over 2 centuries, this rule allowed wealthy foreign nationals living in the UK to avoid paying British taxes on the money they made overseas. This map illustrates the new baseline rule. Long-term UK residents now face a 40% inheritance tax on worldwide assets. This liability is hard to escape. The policy includes a 10-year tail, meaning the tax follows them for a decade, even to a zero-tax haven. Because of that aggressive policy, some specific ultra-wealthy individuals are packing up. People like steel magnate Lakshmi Mittal and other high-profile billionaires have closed their Mayfair offices and shifted their primary residencies. They are heading to rival countries, actively designing policies to poach them. Places like Dubai offer a zero-tax environment, while Italy recently expanded a flat tax regime explicitly nicknamed the Empty London Rule. These tax changes clearly trigger reactions from highly mobile, ultra-rich individuals, but a handful of high-profile billionaire anecdotes do not always indicate a broader macroeconomic trend. To find the actual trend, we have to look past the billionaires and examine the broader population of roughly $3 million millionaires living in the UK. The most reliable data on how these people behave comes from researchers at the London School of Economics and Warwick University. They studied the behavioral response to previous major tax hikes on the rich. This chart visualizes their core finding regarding migration elasticity. When the government tightened tax rules in 2017, only 1 in 20 affected wealthy individuals left. This low departure rate reflects the severe friction of relocating. Moving children and businesses is a massive undertaking. We can see this friction in the official government records. This bar chart tracks tax receipts from wealthy non-domiciled residents, showing that their total tax payments actually climbed to a record £9.7 billion in the latest reporting period. The data suggests that the broad class of wealthy residents is far less mobile and far less likely to abandon their established lives over tax hikes than lobbyists suggest. If the official records and academic studies show that the mass exodus is statistically flimsy, we have to ask why the narrative remains so loud. The story of millionaire flight functions largely as a lobbying tool, amplified heavily by the wealth management industry. These advisory firms have a direct commercial motive. By fostering a pervasive sense of panic about capital flight, they put pressure on lawmakers to back down from adopting future wealth taxes. But that intense lobbying clashes with actual voters. This pie chart illustrates recent polling, where 75% of the UK public supports a wealth tax, with that support cutting cleanly across all major political party lines. Meanwhile, the UK economy faces severe issues unrelated to individual tax residences. The country is struggling with stagnant economic growth and corporate flight, with dozens of companies delisting from the London Stock Exchange in favor of New York. The debate over these numbers will finally collide with administrative facts in January 2027. That is when HMRC will publish official self-assessment data, providing the first verified count of post-reform departures. For now, the millionaire exodus functions primarily as a high-stakes public relations battle, a contest over who keeps the nation's wealth and who controls the economic narrative.